Now notice the dynamite revelation of this next segment. This is quoted in this article. We will not create a new world simply by remaking the old. It should be numberless, flexible, and over time it could evolve. The bottom line agenda of this planned disaster is to buy the old system, capitalism, so it can be replaced by the government-controlled, government-regulated system of fascism. Okay, that's what's going on right now, just so it's particularly in America. Once these chieftains are finished, capitalism will not exist in any part of the developed world. That is the plan, and that is the reason for all this financial disaster. See, this has all been pre-planned. Really, you could go back over 100 years ago if you really wanted to get technical. The world is getting very close to this kind of complete financial overhaul. The next news quote reveals just how pervasive this new constricting global body is planned to be, at least initially. So this is another excerpt from that article, and it says, such a proposal offers the solution for further constriction, like a python, to supersede the G7 nations and impose greater world control. Zoellick envisions, now this is this World Bank chief guy, Zoellick envisions that the new reforms would bring together over 70% of the world's gross domestic product, 56% of the world's population, 62% of global energy production, the world's major carbon emitters, big donor countries, and the main players in the global capital, commodity, and exchange rates. Well, again, what this sounds like is a new world order. One world government, one world political system, one world religious system, one world currency. Okay, and this is what the Bible predicted was going to happen. So this shouldn't be anything that we weren't expecting, because the Bible's very clear on this. The scope of this plan is truly breathtaking. In one fell swoop, this Illuminati Insider is revealing the immediate goal of the planned crisis. See, this is the immediate goal of the planned crisis. All this is happening for a reason. Before the Antichrist arises, the economies of the entire world will most likely fall under the control of this python. But for now, virtually the entire developed world is falling under this control. This is all the precursor events that happen up until the time when the Antichrist arises. Now, again, I'm not a date setter. I can't say exactly who's going to arise on this date or this or that, but it's definitely still fulfillment of biblical end-time prophecy in Scripture. Now Zoellick uttered the words New World Order in the next quote. Zoellick joins numerous banks and leaders such as Gordon Brown in calling for financial new world order. For a new financial world order. That's a quote. He also echoes proposals last month from Jeffrey Gartine, a protege of the Bilderberger Henry Kissinger, for a new global monetary authority, sovereignty, as stated here. This would be a vestigial formality under the new world body, as it seduces its new victims. Again, the World Bank and the IMF would be the real power behind the chic new multilateral group and would clearly make key decisions. Thus, this plan calls for individual national sovereignty to be surrendered to the global authorities, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Can you see the new global financial order developing here? The financial system will evolve into a global system of Revelation 13. Now we learn that both Democrat and Republican parties are in lockstep with this plan. Zoellick points out that both Obama and McCain are in lockstep on the decision to strengthen the sinews of America's ties with the world. So in other words, they're both on board. See, you have to understand something. Everything at the upper, particularly at the upper levels of politics, has all been predetermined and all pre-planned. All this stuff on the news right now about Obama and McCain is fodder for the human mind. It's to keep our eyes focused on something while all of this other stuff is going down. Not saying this didn't get any press, but these Obama and McCain, it's just two wicked sides of the same coin. Okay? And if people, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, we can't have Obama and we can't. I mean, yes, I don't want Obama in there, okay? I admit that. I do not want Obama. But what you have to understand is they're both being controlled by the same puppet masters. They would not be in that position if they were not. Okay? So that's what you have to understand. Therefore, it is clear, this is back to this quote, therefore it is clear that the new president would support such widespread reforms with almost unquestionable obedience. Therefore, so in other words, it doesn't really matter who's in there as far as the president. Everybody that's in, whether it's Bush, McCain, or Obama, they're all on board. Therefore, Zoellick said changing times will require the World Bank and IMF to step in and act quickly. The statement simultaneously verifies two key cutting-edge teachings. Number one, there's absolutely no difference between the Democrat and Republican parties, as leaders of both parties are equally committed to the New World Order plan in all of its aspects. And again, what this is technically referred to as the Hegelian dialectic, where you have problem, reaction, solution. Thesis, antithesis equals synthesis. Okay, that's what we're dealing with here. Ultimately, it's still the agenda they're wanting to push. They're just inching us toward it. And they've been doing this for a long, long time. The second point regarding what Cutting Edge was teaching is the nations of the world are quickly leading us into the situation where they will be expected to follow the global edicts with unquestionable obedience. Once the Antichrist and his false prophet are on the world scene, they will demand unquestionable obedience from all the world leaders. Isn't it exciting to see the prophecies of the book of Revelation and Daniel being fulfilled in our daily news? Number three, once they deliberately create a disaster, the Illuminati demands that their solution be acted upon quickly and without delay. In other words, this financial implosion that's taking place has been created by them. It's been pre-planned for a long time. It says once they deliberately create a disaster. If you are a 33rd degree Mason, the motto of the 33rd degree Mason is Ordo ab Chao in Latin, which means order out of chaos. They create the chaos and supposedly bring their order. In this case, it's literally the New World Order. Okay, so again, this is how they think. This is how the devil thinks. Remember, he's the father of lies. And they are of their father, and of his works they will do. Meaning these wicked people in these high institutions. So, that way, thinking and discerning people do not have the opportunity to demand a careful and deliberate solution. That way, demand for immediate action was carried out during the passage of the infamous Patriot Act 1, where congressmen got their copy of the huge bill only hours before they were expected to vote yay. And that's going on increasingly more and more and more. You're hearing this. They even threatened a few of the people that voted on the bailout in the government officials with martial law if they didn't approve the bailout, particularly the second go-around. They were threatening them, saying, well, if you don't approve this, we're going to have martial law. So now I'm not making that up. That's a proven fact. They've admitted to it. In fact, there's all kind of internet videos on that right now where they were admitting it. In other words, it's like the Bush administration is becoming more and more brazen. So let us return to this featured article for the bottom line understanding. Once again, a global solution for a global problem. Demand will be reduced and allowances will be tightly controlled under a sustainable existence where people and nations alike will be bound by global institutions pretending to save the world. Remember the oft-quoted remark by New Age author Bill Cooper in Behold a Pale Horse, page 27. The secret societies were planning as far back as 1917 to invent an artificial threat. In order to bring humanity together in a one-world government they call the New World Order. 1917, he says this goes back to. As we revealed some months ago, 5 global crises have been created to force a global government. They've got a news report, 2193, where it's entitled 5 major created global disasters are being constantly preached to the world as reasons to form the global New World Order. And again, with Cutting Edge, you do have to pay to access all their articles. Not some of them, but most of them. And I think it's like 20 or 25 a year or something like that. And I believe it's well worth the money because he's got some really, cutting edge stuff, no pun intended. So if we go further, remember this fact: the Illuminati does not want a real collapse. They only want a perceived collapse so they can ram their bold plans down the throats of the panicked people. The next article, G7 world leaders are streaking to Washington, D.C. to solve the current disasters posed by this current economic crisis. This is a news brief from Breitbart News. This is